Hi, friends. Hi. Happy Sunday. I am over the moon excited to be back here with you today. Uh, I just enjoy this time together so much. Being in this community is really something very special. And I hear that repeatedly from other Insight Timer teachers, from people like me who are just end users. I don't know really how to, listeners, how to describe that other than that. We all are in this community and it's just so special. So I'm picking Sunday afternoons as a way to wrap up this week and reset for the coming week ahead. So, if you would, as we are entering and gathering together, go ahead and type in the chat. Let me know, where are you tuning in from? How was your week this week? How's your emotional weather right now? And I'm not talking about the weather outside, although I will tell you, I'm in such an even better mood today because we've had some really yucky weather, as most of us here in the U.S. have. And finally, we have a nice stretch of great weather. So that always gives me a little boost. So tell me how this past week was, how you're feeling now, and what are you hoping for the coming week? This is our opportunity to set the course for how we want our coming week to go. And also, if anybody was with us last week, I want to hear how that was for you and if you did your accountability. And I'm not asking because it's like I'm sitting here going, oh, okay, they did it or they didn't. It's because I want to give you accountability when I'm asking you to do accountability. So if you would, go ahead and type in the chat, where are you zooming in from? What's going on in your world? What are you hoping to get out of today? What are you hoping to attract in this coming week? And I specifically say attract because life's going to throw us stuff, right? Life is going to throw the good, the bad, and everything in between. And we get a chance. Oh, Jessica, great. It was really wonderful to have you there as well. The Meet Your Guides, if you don't know about this yet, this is something that Violet 108 and Melanie Underwood are doing, where they have this opportunity for us to meet the guides and bringing on about six Insight Timer teachers to get to know. Oh, technology. It's so fun. Let me know if I'm back. I see that it froze. Mercury is in retrograde. Thank you, Jessica. If you know anything about astrology and like what I know would fill a thimble, right? Not even. It would just be a little bit of a thimble. But I do know about Mercury in retrograde and that little trickster with technology. So I don't know what you heard and what you missed, but I'm back. You're here. We're here. And I'm so glad to be together. So let me just know if you have anything on your mind today, anything in specific that you're hoping to get a little help with, maybe something you're dragging back from this past week, maybe something you have coming up this week that you're hoping, oh, I can be really calm and chill for that. So we're going to go ahead. If you were with me last week, you experienced this, and I think we're going to make this a regular thing because it is very, very important. We're going to take just 90 seconds to breathe. And, we all know how to breathe. A lot of us are meditators. You see that, okay, meditating doesn't necessarily mean, oh, I can't meditate because I don't do 20 minutes. If you can breathe, you're a meditator. So we're going to take 90 seconds to breathe. So if you would, take your fingers away from the keyboard. This is when I don't want you to do the chat. And I'm going to set the timer and we're going to start our 90 seconds now. And simply bring your awareness to your breath. And I'm not going to guide you like you have to do this specific breath technique or whatever. You do you. Find your breath and simply breathe. And you know that as we do this process, our mind says, oh, let me bring in this distracting thought. And oh, what am I going to be making for dinner later? Just notice those thoughts and bring yourself back to your breath. The breath will always bring you into the present moment. And the present moment is truly the most precious moment we have. So you do you. Stay with your breath. Just keep coming back. Keep coming back. That's right. And that's when I know, like, oh, I'm doing what I want to do, is when I'm able to notice my mind is taking me somewhere and then come back. It's not about, thankfully, doing 20 minutes of emptying my mind. Just, it doesn't happen. You tell me to empty my mind and all these other thoughts come in. So come to your breath. In 3, 2, 1. And that's it. 90 seconds. And the reason we're going to be doing 90 seconds, probably with most of this to be able to start, is there is a 90-second rule. And I'm not going to go into the big explanation. I did it last week. You can look it up. There is a 90-second rule. And literally, it is that 90 seconds, their chemical lifespan, is only 90 seconds. So that hurt, that anger, that frustration that I'd be holding on to from last week, last month, or whatever, was only because I was choosing to keep bringing it up. Oh, Melanie and Violet, thank you. I'm so happy that you're here. We were talking in the chat about the Ask Your Guides earlier, and Jessica was bringing that up. And you guys do, you and Melanie, Violet, you just do such a wonderful opportunity for all of us to get to know the incredible teachers here on Insight Timer. So if you were with us last week, I was offering accountability and saying how much that is important. So I'm not going to be like, all right, let me check up on them. But if you want to share the accountability, if you did it, if it worked for you, if maybe it was a challenge because it was a new habit, you're going to hear me repeat things over and over again. And I really want you to, excellent, Melanie. Violet and I did it most days. So, okay, first of all, everybody just clap, clap, clap for them. And then everybody do this exercise. Doesn't matter which arm, put it up in the air, bend at the elbow, and then pat yourselves on the back. Melanie and Violet for doing your accountability, and everyone else, pat yourself on the back for being here. So I was saying about the repetition. You're going to hear me say things over and over and over again, and it's for a reason, because repetition is the key to change. Habits become habits out of repetition. And it doesn't matter if they're good habits or bad habits. Any habit only becomes a habit through repetition. So I'm curious, as I share my next little piece, I'd love for you to type in the chat. Tell me what you think you have as good habits. If you want, go ahead, you're in a safe space. Share some of your bad habits. So habits. How do they become habits? Because we do them again and again and again. Hopefully, if I could see all your faces, I would say, okay, go ahead, raise your hand if you brush your teeth every day. And hopefully most of us would raise our hands. But if you have children, you may remember, like I have 2 kids. They're not kids anymore, they're adults. But, I taught them how to brush their teeth when they were little. And in their teenage years, I was still trying to remind them to brush their teeth. Now I think they've got it. But so it's repetition, right? So I'm not going to go too far into this, but just to give you a brief overview of how habits happen is we have 100 billion neurons in our brain. That's more stars than we see in the Milky Way. Right? So these little neurons are messengers from our brain to the rest of our body. And when we experience something, a bunch of these neurons clump together and they fire off. And then we do it again and they fire off again and again and again. So I'm a former smoker. Boy, I'll tell you, I've got all kinds of bad habits that I've overcome. And I was a smoker for many years. And when I decided not to quit, because, yeah, if you're a smoker or a former smoker, you know you've tried to quit a million times. But when I finally decided to become a non smoker for life, I had to continually do these habits over and over again. So now those new neural pathways were to go for something healthy instead of going for the cigarette. So we can rewire our brain. It's learning how to do it. Yeah, scrapping the exercise. Fatima, I know that one very well. And oh, yeah, Violet, good habit is sitting in nature. I was sitting out in nature earlier today, actually, right before this, just trying to center myself. And I have hummingbird feeders out on my deck. And oh, how beautiful to just sit there and watch these beautiful winged creatures come and enjoy this glorious nectar. So we can, Rick Hansen says, we can practice an emotional state until it becomes a neural trait. So yeah, all right, whether it's brushing our teeth or smoking, right? We can build these new neural traits, but we can also do that with our emotions. And I know for a lot of us that feels like that is not the case, right? You know the little quotes that we see on our Insight Timer apps every day? Yesterday's was perfect. I had a different quote set for today, but I picked this up because it was perfect. It was a Viktor Frankl quote, which is just so beautiful, that the last of human freedoms is the ability to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. What does that mean? It means, because you're thinking, well, I can't control this, I can't control that. No, we can't. We cannot control what goes on around us. However, we get to choose whether we react, which I spent many years in that. And just doing that right now, my whole nervous system was not happy with that, right? So we get to react, or what I'm going to encourage is that we learn how to respond. And it is a totally different perspective. So, speaking of perspective, play with me for just a moment. If you would, go ahead and put your thumb right in front of your face, stare at it, close one eye, and then open the other, close. Switch back and forth a couple of times. And if for some reason you can't do it, you're not alone. I was telling my husband I was going to do this, and he's like, I can't do that. So for some reason, some people can't do that. But I want you to type in the chat and tell me what happens as you look at that thumb and you're switching your eyes back and forth, back and forth. Tell me what happens as you stare at that thumb, going back and forth. Somebody type in the chat, let me know as you're staring at the thumb and you're going back and forth from one eye to the other. Nobody's going to say it. I'm so surprised. Oh, you are so smart, Gnome. Oh, look at you. You all are saying exactly what is so wise. Most of the time, I'm so surprised. Noni, Fatima, and Fatima, I'm sorry if I'm not saying it correctly. Alyssa, it looks like it moves. It seems to change place a bit. It moves position. Most people, and I've been asking people this for 20 years now, right? Most people will say, it moves. But the thumb isn't actually moving. You're all so smart because you realize it's just looking at it from a different lens. So that's what Viktor Frankl, and if you don't know, Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor. So this is someone very, very wise that we can learn from about choosing our own attitude, regardless of what's going on around us. So that's why I talk about goodbye anxiety, hello freedom, because it really is freedom. I was definitely a poster child for an anxious person, but I spent the first half of my life not realizing it. Like I walked around, I was like, my shoulders were like earrings. And I thought it was natural to always worry, but not just worry, worry about the worst case scenario. And now that I don't, it really is this emotional freedom that it is my life's purpose to be able to share that with you and help you to understand that it's possible and it's easier than you can imagine. So, with this perspective and being able to choose our own perspective, regardless of what's going on. Oh, yes, Dee, that is an amazing book. Thank you, Dee. So think about things going on around you, and we feel powerless. We feel like we have no option other than to just freak out, right? But we do have options. I want you to close your eyes for a moment because I want you not to be looking at me, just visual distractions. I want you to close your eyes for just a moment right now. And regardless of what's going on, if you hear the dog, the kids, whatever in the background, you hear your loud neighbor next door, just let go of all of that. And for a moment, with your eyes closed, think what's right now. I'll repeat it. What's right now? Because in this moment, what's right now for me is I'm healthy. I'm safe. I'm here in this incredible community here on Insight Timer with you. And so if you would, a couple of you type in the chat, what's right now? And okay, maybe that seems like, well, it's just too easy. I promise you, a lot of what I'm going to share does seem like, oh, that's so simple. It's because I'm telling you, I have researched this stuff for over 20 years. It's like over 25 years now at this point. And I truly believe one of my guiding lights in life is that simple shifts are what creates lasting change. I have a book, and I'm not going to reach up and get it now, but I have a book on anxiety that I got as a research book, right? And it's like this thick. It's like 400 pages, and I've never opened it because if you're already feeling anxious and I hand you this big book or I hand you this big list of things that you need to do and able to find in order to find your calm, you're just going to check out. You're going to tune out. And so I'm going to ask you to just kind of jump on my shoulders for this coming week and say, all right, you know what? She says it works. I'm going to give it a try, right? You have nothing to lose except for stress, anxiety, and sleepless nights. So it's worth trying these very simple things, right? What's right now? And that came into my awareness of, thank you, Jessica. I'm going to check in with you next week. Not as a, all right, let me check, but just to give you that extra accountability, right? I went to, years ago, I went to an author's book launch, and she had us, break up into groups and practice what's not wrong. And I was like, wait, what's not wrong? That's directing our brain to see what's wrong, right? The brain deletes the negative, right? So when you say, what's not wrong, what does your brain hear? Your brain hears, what's wrong? So I was like, oh, no. Not, I wasn't saying that to the author, but in myself, in my own mind, I was like, oh, no. It's not what's not wrong. It's what's right now. And so that is going to immediately give you that different perspective. But also, as we talked about last week, and I'll always be talking about gratitude, we go from focusing on it. I used to have a very unpleasant neighbor, and I spent a lot of time, wasted energy being angry and frustrated with them. And it didn't change anything. What changed was when I started, what's right now? Oh, look, there's a hummingbird. Oh, listen to my little fountain, right? So what's right now? Another option is some of the things like what's right now you can do quickly in your head. Some of the other things that I share with you, if you're in the middle of a heated argument with someone, you're not going to be able to do. But here's one very, very simple that you can do anytime, anywhere. Are you ready? It's so simple. It's to practice the pause, right? So we hear somebody say something and we immediately react, right? What if instead we practice the pause? And it's very simple. If you would, go ahead and take a nice, beautiful breath in with me now. Just breathe in, hold it for just a moment, and now slowly exhale twice as long. Do that again. Breathe in, hold it for just a moment, and slowly exhale twice as long. One more time. Breathe in. Slowly exhale twice as long. And I'm curious if you can feel that, because I can. It is a really easy way to down-regulate our nervous system. Oh, excellent. Yep. I was a doer too, Jessica. Yes. And yes, your nervous system does appreciate the pause. When you feel that, and I'd be curious to hear if anybody else felt that. Like, because my nervous system, I've done this a lot, but still my nervous system is like, oh, thank you. Thank you. Right? So think about if you are in an argument with somebody and they're like, and instead of you just pushing right back, if instead you were like, and then you opened your mouth, it might take things in a different direction, right? It's these simple shifts. Practice the pause. And I'm not saying, trust me, I'm not saying that if you have, whether it's someone in your family or someone you work with who is a continual, they just know how to push that button with you. I'm not saying that the first time you practice the pause, it's just going to be like, ta-da, I've arrived, and you never get upset with them again. It's practicing. It's practicing those new neural pathways until they become a neural trait, a natural trait. And I can tell you from experience, self-experience, and experience with thousands of clients over 20 years, that once you start this and it becomes your natural state, it changes everything. So practice the pause. Inhale, exhale twice as long. You can do that in the car when somebody pulls in front of you. And I'm still working on that one. I will admit I still work on that. Hopefully someday I'll just be able to say namaste to everybody who cuts me off on the highway. But I'm evolving. I'm not there yet. All right, what's another way to get yourself into that different perspective so that you can respond instead of react? Okay, whether you're a Swiftie, you love her, you hate her, she had the song, shake it off, right? So, look, nobody can see us, right? You can see me, but it's okay. I don't care if you see me shaking and being weird. So right now, I would love to see you just shake it off, right? Shake your hands, shake your whole body. If you want to go ahead and get up and shake your whole body, go ahead. And this one, literally, we can look to nature to learn about this. If you have a pet, I'm really familiar with dogs mostly. I don't know if cats do this. Somebody might want to tell me after I explain it in the chat if cats do this as well. But dogs, you'll see them. They get up and they shake their whole body. And what they're doing is, they don't know. Nobody taught them, told them, oh, this is how you reset your nervous system. But that's what they're doing, right? I live in the woods, and we have coyotes. And so if a coyote is chasing a sweet little bunny rabbit, that bunny is, fight or flight, pew, off. And then as soon as it gets to safety, literally, the bunny will shake its entire body to reset the nervous system. Right? So chances are if you're in the middle of an argument with somebody, you probably don't want to go to shake it off, but what if you started practicing that? That maybe that's how you start your morning. You just get up and you do a full body shake, right? Or maybe you just dance around. I was a celebrity radio DJ for my first career, and so I am so tuned into music. Haha, get it? Tuned in. I love turning up music. My husband does not like that I like to turn it up pretty much as loud as possible and shake my whole body. And, maybe you find yourself chair dancing when you're in the car. Just drive safely, right? But cats, not as much. But if you touch their foot and they don't like it, they shake their foot. Oh, how sweet. Okay, Jessica, you're going to have to tell us more about this cat that has cute feet. I love it. So it's so simple, right? What's right now? Practice the pause. Inhale, exhale twice as long, and shake it off. Right? So 3 things. I'm going to keep it to just 3 things. I have another thing written down here, but I'm going to hold on. Thank you, Jessica. It is an amazing radio voice. I take it as a gift. It's not something that I actually trained for. It's just here. So thank you so much. So I'm going to keep it to 3 things, and I would love to get some feedback from you in the chat. I want to keep these to just 30, 40 minutes max because again, I believe that simple shifts are what create lasting change. And I'm also a devout yogi. I am a trained yoga teacher, although I don't actually teach yoga classes. I do bring in some practices from yoga into my practice. But as a devout yogi, trying to live the 8 limbs of yoga, asteya is one of them. And it is the non-stealing yama. And funny story, how I learned about this was from my beloved yoga mentor. And she would teach us about the yamas and the niyamas, and she taught us about asteya and non-stealing. And she said, and if I go long with my classes, I'm stealing your time. She almost never ended her classes on time. So you just take it and roll with it, right? So I'm going to keep this to just 30 minutes. Occasionally, we might go a little bit longer to 40 minutes, but I want to keep this short and sweet so you really do get the most out of this. So thank you so much for joining me. Please reach out and follow me on my profile. If you go to my profile and follow me, you'll get notified. And I have 2 new meditations being uploaded this week, so you'll be getting a notice about that. And also, if you look over there, you can see there's the donate button. All of these classes are run on a donation basis. Financially, if you can do that, it is very, very appreciated. And if not, there's also other ways to do the energy exchange. I've been seeing you hit the hearts, and that is so, so appreciated. But also telling other people, hey, come join me next Sunday. We'll be here at the same time. Mwah! Thank you to all of you. I hope you have the best week, and I hope you come back next Sunday and tell me how good it was. Mwah! Much love.